Good evening. The time is now 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting of the Beloit City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
All councilors are present.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. May we all stand at this time?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is special orders of the day and announcements. Item 3A is a proclamation proclaiming Tuesday, August 3rd, as National Night Out in the city of Beloit.
And Vice President Keys will read the proclamation, and I believe Chief Andre Sales is here to accept the proclamation.
August 3rd, 2021, entitled National Night Out. And whereas the 38th Annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the city of join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting community policing and crime prevention efforts. And whereas the Beloit Police Department, Beloit Area Crime Stoppers, and the Beloit Fire Department play a vital role in collaborating with our community to reduce crime, fear, and disorder in Beloit, Wisconsin, and are supporting National Night Out locally. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of Beloit be aware of the importance of crime prevention and community policing programs and the impact that their participation can have on creating and sustaining safe neighborhoods in Beloit. And whereas police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. And whereas the city of Beloit has a long-standing tradition of gathering within our many diverse neighborhoods to celebrate and further law enforcement and community partnerships. Now, therefore, the City Council President of the City of Beloit does hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021 as National Night Out in Beloit and encourages residents to acknowledge the event with their neighbors by hosting block parties, cookouts, youth programs, and other such activities that strengthen and promote neighborhood spirit and police community partnership. Presented this second day of August 2021, Clinton Anderson, President, Beloit City Council.
You're here.
Well, thank you all for recognizing this. I know we missed out last year due to COVID. We look forward to getting out with everybody tomorrow, meeting everybody. And as I always go by the first name, so our officers will be out introducing themselves for everybody knows them by first name, and we can get back to community.
Thank you.
Item 3B is a proclamation recognizing the week of August 1st through the 7th as National Farmers Market Week.
Whereas Wisconsin farmers provide residents with access to locally and regionally produced foods through the Beloit Farmers Market, which accommodates the demand for a diverse array of agricultural products. And whereas farmers markets and other agricultural direct marketing outlets provide infrastructure to assist in the distribution of farm and value-added products, thereby contributing approximately $9 billion each year to the U.S. economy. And whereas farmers markets support healthy communities, bringing delicious and nutritious food to the table. And whereas farmers markets promote sustainability of family farms, preserve farmland, and stimulate local economies. And whereas farmers markets are essential businesses, resilient and dependable in making seasonal foods available to the community. Now, therefore, the City Council President of the City of Beloit does hereby proclaim the week of August 1st through the 7th, 2021 as National Farmers Market Week in the City of Beloit and encourages residents to attend the Saturday downtown Beloit Farmers Market to support area producers and provide fresh, healthy produce for meal options. Adopted this second day of August, 2021, Clinton Anderson, President, Beloit City Council.
And item 3C is a proclamation declaring the month of August as Black Business Month.
And we have Gina Stevens here from Rock County Jumpstart here to accept the proclamation tonight.
Whereas Black business owners account for about 10% of U.S. businesses and about 30% of all minority-owned businesses. And whereas nearly 40% of Black-owned businesses are in the service industry, including healthcare, social assistance, repair and maintenance, auto dealerships, consulting services, restaurants, barbershops, and beauty salons. And whereas historian John William Templeton and engineer Frederick E. Jordan Sr. founded National Black Business Month in August 2004. And whereas Rock County Jumpstart will be celebrating Black businesses on August 13th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the W.B. Kennedy Masonic Lodge located at 2034 Liberty Avenue in Beloit. And whereas there will be a special focus and emphasis on Black-owned businesses in the city of Beloit and recognize their many contributions to society. And whereas the city of Beloit is committed to inclusion of all people as a core value. Now, therefore, the City Council President of the City of Beloit does hereby proclaim August 2021 as Black Business Month in the City of Beloit, encouraging all residents to recognize and support African American owned businesses in the greater Beloit community in an effort to close the racial wealth gap in Wisconsin. Adopted the second day of August 2021, Clinton Anderson, President, Beloit City Council.
Thank you. And Gina, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, sure.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Just a few, because you know me. On behalf of the City of Beloit's Black business owners, I want to thank the City Council for this proclamation recognizing August as Black Business Month. Black business owners have a long history of contributing to the local economy in the City of Beloit. On August 13th, Rock County Jumpstart will honor this history and celebrate the many Black business owners who continue to develop businesses in the community they love. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no public hearings this evening.
President Anderson, can I just make a comment, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I just want to thank you, Gina, for your dedicated service and for complimenting our City of Beloit with the work you're doing for Black business owners and with Rock County Jumpstart, which enhance our entire community. And I want to congratulate you for being recognized as one of the most influential Black leaders in Wisconsin, for serving on the Rock County Board, and for being an honoree. And you will receive this year the 2021 YWCA Rock County Women of Distinction Award. So you are truly amazing, Gina. Keep up the great work and keep showing Black excellence. Thank you for being here tonight.
Item 5 is public comment.
We've reached the point in the agenda where members of the public can address the council about issues that may come before us in the future. Council may not act on any of these items, but may refer a staff member if need be. We ask that you refrain from any personal attacks and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Madam Clerk, did we receive any written emails?
We did not.
And did we receive any public comment forms?
I did not.
Okay. At this time, if anyone who did not submit a public comment form would like to speak, please come forward at this time.
Hello, Jim Cronin, 1719 Emerson Street, Beloit, Wisconsin. I know some of you on the board, council, I think 2 years ago I stood up here and the topic was the ice rink at Telfer Park. And at that time, I know it was discussed with a local nonprofit, Beloit Youth Hockey, to actually donate money to the city to invest into that facility. And there was a lot of, this was pre-COVID, we didn't have masks on and everything, which was, really good at the time. A lot of nodding and shaking, great ideas, great ideas. Fast forward, once this new stadium was built, which, like anybody in this city, I think that's awesome. I like having that stadium. We have baseball that's going to stay in Beloit. But once that happened, the questions started coming out. As a taxpayer, I'm wondering what's going on with Pullman. We don't need 2 baseball stadiums. There's got to be a plan. A plan was, discussed with me, which kind of made sense, and I understand why it was kind of held off a little bit. And then I thank Mark for pointing it to my attention. I know on the agenda tonight is a lease agreement with BYHA. So just to preface this, I am no longer involved with Beloit Youth Hockey. I think everybody hears me like, oh, here comes the hockey guy. He's coming up here and I'm no longer involved with it. I am a taxpayer in Beloit, concerned taxpayer in Beloit. I've had 3 kids use that hockey rink, but also use the facilities at the high school. And as one idea that we had was, instead of just hockey kids using that rink, everybody use that all year round. Use it for indoor soccer, indoor lacrosse, basketball. Can you imagine playing hoops there in the summer? Tarps open, basketball, put sports turf down. That's the type of vision that we had. And it kind of got thrown on deaf ears. So now I see there's an idea to redevelop that park. I'm just asking that the people who are using that facility, they're involved. That's all I'm asking. It'd be, the high school needs a new ball diamond and a softball field. There's a ball diamond, softball field. To me, it's perfect. So that's all I had. I don't know where it's going. I'm a little concerned that there's a 1-year lease, but I'm open-minded. Maybe that's a good thing, that there's just a 1-year lease. My fear is, though, that bulldozers start moving and that entire facility is gone. And that rink was built with people that donated it to this city. So I think I got time, so if there's any questions. No? Okay. I'll sit and listen to more.
Thank you. Would any other members from the public wish to speak tonight? Second call? Third call? Public comment is now closed.
Item 6 is the consent agenda, and all items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would any council member like anything removed from the consent agenda? If not, the consent agenda consists of 6A through 6G. Motion by Levy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Forback. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
There are no licenses this evening, bringing us to ordinances. Item 8A is consideration of ordinance number 3713, amending the comprehensive plan future land use map for the property located at 2030 Porter Avenue and 2 adjacent lots in the town of Beloit. This is second reading.
And since it's the second reading, unless we have any questions, we will forego the presentation. So can I have a motion to approve by Levy? Is there a second? Second by Duncan. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 8B is consideration of ordinance number 3716, amending the zoning district map of the city of Beloit from M2 General Manufacturing District to C3 Community Commercial District for the property located at 1555 Willowbrook Road. This is also second reading.
Same as before, since it's second reading, unless we have questions, we'll forego the presentation. So can I have a motion to approve? Moved by Levy, second by Blakely. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 8C is consideration of ordinance number 3717 to amend certain sections of the Index of Special Locations, Section 13.02 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit, relating to the removal of the no parking designations along Frederick Street near McNeil School. This is also second reading.
No, we had some questions before, so we'll just have a motion to get it on the floor first. So moved by Levy, second by Duncan. Any discussion? Councilor Levy?
We had discussion on this at the last meeting, and I think this time we have, Mr. President, we have the principal of McNeil here, Mrs. Michelle Hendricks Nora. She's here to answer a few questions, so if it's okay if I invite her to the podium just to answer our questions before we vote on this.
Absolutely.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good
One of the
evening.
things that that I was thinking about, I'm looking at the parking. Now, currently, that is no parking. So I'm trying to envision cars that's parked there during the school day, and if I'm dropping my kid off, I'm going to have to go around those cars to drop my kid off in the front, right? So is that I'm just making sure that's not a big safety hazard, that if I'm opening up my car door from where these cars are parked at and somebody's coming down the street, I just want to make sure that that's not a safety concern or safety issue or risk. I don't know if the question makes sense, or.
No, it makes sense. So it's sort of like 3 lanes. So the one inside lane is the one we're kind of talking about where it's no moving traffic.
Okay.
And then you have the 2 lanes where it's normally the moving traffic throughout the day.
Okay.
So I think it's enough space. We have people come in and out and closing doors where if somebody is parked there and need to drop somebody off, they can. But we still have our south parking lot where parents can pull in and park. And that will allow us more parking in our south parking lot because we won't have our buses pulling in there anymore as well. So parents can pull in the south parking lot to drop off and pick up children as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was my concern, but I think she answered that one. So I'm comfortable with moving this forward, but I don't know if someone else had other questions.
I had a question about the south section. I'm not concerned about the north section on Frederick Street there, over side by the sports fields and stuff. But there's a shorter section south that's immediately in front of the building. I don't know if you've seen the drawing of this and how it lays out, but I wondered about contract buses, other bus drop-offs in that area, and if people are stopping and parking and picking up their kids at that particular area in the very front, or they're just parking while they go into the office. I could see that being a bit of a problem at those 2 periods, pickup and end of school or wherever, noon times when it gets busy. And I thought that was an ideal spot for those buses to pull over and pick up if they're like, say, picking up for the sports teams or something like that. I don't know how it works, and nobody could explain. I'm on the traffic review committee, and there was nobody there to explain it then. And I had concerns, and the officer that was there didn't understand what that was being used for now, and how that was getting used. So that was my concern. It was just that south section, and I thought, if we could change, it's easy enough in our resolution to just remove that, if that's better, that you maintain no parking or bus-only parking or some type of alternative. And I just want those questions answered. So.
Yep, no, I can answer those. So currently our bus pulls in our south parking lot.
Right.
Before and after school, which inhibits our parking for parents to come in, students to come out. Our students have to go all the way across, and parents park way down Whipple. They park all the way down almost by Woodman's gas station to pull up. So we are going to change that where the buses will drop off and pick up in front of the building. That's probably the portion that you're talking about now. And we will block that off so the buses can park there. We've already talked to Durham to kind of figure that out with the traffic pattern for before and after school for buses, which helps to with our separate entrances, because before our 4th and 5th graders, which is our youngest students, would have to go all the way around to the south parking lot to enter the back doors by themselves if they're bus students. So not the city buses, but the school buses will park right in front before and after school. We'll have our SSO out there plus administrators to block that portion off. Parents typically after school is when they pick up from like elementary and then they just come wait for us, typically park there. And that's where we found where we had situations where they were like given citations for no parking, or if we have an event, I don't know if you've been to McNeil lately, we don't have a lot of parking at all. And so they park right there to get to our events because we don't have parking, but then they can get a citation for parking right in front of the building where we don't have any parking for events. So we did work with Durham to work out a space for before and after school pickup, that we have designated spots. We'll have 4 buses for next school year. We already worked that out in the times. And then it just takes all hands on deck to make the traffic flow on Frederick Street.
The simple answer is to just make it no parking and then let you guys handle the logistics of the events and stuff like that when you need to have buses parked there.
Yeah, so it's
You don't
no
need
parking now.
anything-
We want to remove the no
Yeah, you
parking.
want to remove the no parking, yes, I
Yes.
understand that. You want to remove the no parking and just handle it on your own
Yes,
as the need arises or as the event dictates or whatever.
correct.
That's what I wanted to make sure, because I had visions of you guys not being able to control it or having problems with people parking because there's no longer any designated no parking, that now it's getting used for things you don't want it used for, and you have problems with your own end of things. And that's why with the traffic review, we could have maybe even changed it a little bit to make it bus only or designated something on it rather than just simply, I mean, it could have been a little more official. Anyway, so that was my question, and that's exactly why I asked it, so thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Any further discussion? Counselor Lee?
I just,
We'll go to Forback, then Duncan, then Levy.
I just have a comment that of course, with schools, you know what's going on there. So obviously, you guys have really thought this out, and so I'm totally in favor of whatever the schools want.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, will there be ample room for emergency vehicles should they need to come through?
Yes, yep. And they typically 9.5 or 10 times pull in the parking lot because that's the exit we try to use on the side building. It's like our door number 2. So they always kind of pull in there, which is our south parking lot. We need those.
And then just one, and I know it did come up, so a time limit, like parking for 1 hour or 2 hours there wouldn't do the job either then, because you would have to try to designate at what time people would have to park there, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I want to thank you for coming out, because as Council Preschel said before, there were questions and we were looking like, okay, how can we get these answered? And I said, we need somebody from the school here. So I'm glad you stepped out, because it does help us make our decision, because we sit here, we're envisioning one thing. So without you here, we still wouldn't get the grasp of it. So thanks for coming out. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out too. We didn't want to make a decision then a month or 2 from now saying, oh, shoot, we really meant to do that. And that somehow didn't get transmitted through the TRC and then to the council and this process, that we go through. And I can remember when the school district came and asked for no parking on there. I remember it well because my son was at McNeil then, so I remember it very well. But, yeah, so we just wanted to make sure we did it right the first time. So, thank you so much for coming and answering our questions.
Just one last thing before she goes, just to show you how Beloit kind of grows their own. She actually went to McNeil and now she's a principal, so.
You know my son?
So, just a little sidebar thing that, like the public to know, so.
Excellent. Any other comments or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Item 8D is consideration of ordinance number 3720, annexing 2 vacant properties located immediately south of 2030 Porter Avenue in the city of Beloit. This is second reading.
We'll forego the presentation, so can I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Moved by Forbeck, second by Duncan. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
There are no appointments, so counselor activities and upcoming events.
We'll start with Vice President Keys today.
Thank you, President Anderson. I do not have a committee or commission report, but personally, I was able to this last week participate in my third annual birthday plog with a group of people and make a pretty nice difference along Milwaukee Road and some neighborhoods around Strong Cemetery and there. And tomorrow morning we'll be organizing one from Richardson School off Olympian on the west side at 8 a.m. And so I'm very excited and am happy to see that there is some momentum in the community to help pick up and keep our city clean and beautiful. So that just makes me happy, and I have to share. The last thing that I want to share and encourage is everybody in the city to be aware of the Rock County Public Health, Department of Public Health guidelines regarding masking. Given the COVID Delta variant, the new guidelines are for vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals to mask indoors in public. And so I just want to reiterate that because we have all been through a lot, and we really want to keep everyone healthy and keep everyone safe and keep everything going in a positive direction. So just to bring attention to that. And that ends my report.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councilor Levy? Councilor Blakely?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to urge all Beloiters to be extra careful and cautious with our new electric scooters. They do not belong, they are illegal to have on sidewalks, as a matter of fact. And we don't want to have to start being really hardcore about sitting on people who are not following the law and being safe. Because if you don't follow the laws which are in place for your safety, for the public safety, you might end up injured, or you could injure somebody else. So please enjoy them and follow the rules. Secondly, I wanted to tell people that BIF, Beloit International Film Festival, is holding a halfway to BIF event this coming Saturday in downtown Beloit from 1 to 10. There'll be a chance to see movies and see what's coming up next year, so take advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Duncan?
I'll just talk a little bit about the Visit Beloit. Our board meeting was canceled. However, the executive director, Celestina Ruffini, sent us information, which I'll share with the public. He encourages us to check out the Halfway to Biff on August 7th in downtown Beloit. And also, Visit Beloit will be hosting Beloit Heritage Days on September 10th and 11th. And then last but not least, I want to give a big thanks to our city manager, our city staff, stakeholders, employees, and volunteers who are involved with the ABC Supply Stadium. And I just want to say that our city is really keeping up with the times and looking beautiful. So that ends my report for this evening.
Thank you. Councilor Preschel?
Well, I have nothing to add to what Regina had to say. It was well done. Covered all the bases, so thank you very much.
Councilor Forbeck?
Just saying, it was been delightful the last 2 times I've driven downtown, in the downtown area. I have to say, I'm excited about these young people using our scooters. I haven't seen them on any sidewalks. I've luckily just seen them, on the streets, and they look like they're having so much fun. I'd kill myself if I got on one, but I'm just delighted that Beloit has another thing for our young people. I'm delighted.
Teasing me about those scooters I can't ride.
That's all.
Thank you. So just wanted to share a few things that are coming up. Tomorrow is National Night Out. It's great to be back. We obviously had a proclamation for it. It'll be very exciting to have that event again. Also going on the same day is opening day for the Beloit Snappers at their new ballpark. Mm-hmm. And I had a chance to go through it. It is absolutely beautiful. I know City Manager Luther got to see it too. It is a big upgrade from Pullman Field. It's a bit of a shock knowing what they used to play at versus what they're playing at now. So I know it's sold out for the first game, but please go to a game. It's absolutely beautiful. I think it's worth it just to go walk around. So definitely go check that out. And then actually on this Friday too, Beloit Street Dance. That's back too. Mm-hmm. We're finally having events back. It starts at 5:30 downtown. Go check that out as well. And then I know we also had a proclamation for Black Business Month. It'll be Friday, August 13th at 5 p.m. is their Black Business Month celebration. So I encourage everybody to go there too and support the Black businesses in our community as well. And that ends my report.
Under item 11 is City Manager's presentation is the review of tax increment financing districts in the city of Beloit.
Eric Miller is here to present that tonight.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So tonight I just wanted to give a quick status update on all the remaining TIF districts that we have left open here in the city. As you can see by the first slide, we have 7 active districts that are still open, 8 through 14. We'll get into a little bit more detail on each of these as we progress on through the presentation, but this just gives a nice little summary of what the TID number is, where that is located, what type of TID that it was, the number of years by statute that it is open for, the expenditure period closure date, as well as the maximum life or end date. If I can get the clicker to, got to turn it on first. There we go. All right, so this is a worksheet that we put together every year during the budget, which shows what the actual increment is for the TID district for that particular year. You can see here, we label it the TID capacity slide because the highlighted or the bold numbers down at the bottom in the percentage form shows us where we are in terms of the state statutory limit, which is 12%. What that means is that we cannot open another TID district in the city until that is below 12%. That is by state statute. This presentation was put together to make it into your packet prior to Friday, which just so happened to be the date that the state released the new equalized values. So I do not have an updated slide for you, but I can tell you that if you see the number under 1/1/2020, the TID increment value of 257 million, for 2021 that number is now $480 million. And so that is a direct impact that one particular business that we have out in our Gateway Business Park will do for the increment value. So, and that of course was Amazon. But that's the largest increase that I can honestly say that I've ever seen in my career. So,
Thank you, Eric, for answering my question before I even got a chance to ask
Sure,
it. Because I was
sure.
looking for it in the report when I read it.
yeah, we just got those late
Gotta be
Friday.
here somewhere and I couldn't find it. It
Yeah.
wasn't there yet, that's why.
Yep, we got them late Friday, so I wasn't able to update the slide to make it into your packet, but
A long lead time to getting that into our tax base.
it sure was. And so what it does to the percent value, it actually made that go up to just over 20%. So as of today, we cannot open another TIF for quite a bit of time. So what this also shows is what the actual TID out value and then the total equalized values in the city are. So we'll get that updated. So the next few slides are simply a cash flow. It's how we analyze the health and the strength of our TIDs. The 2020 number that you see there is actually from our 2020 annual financial statement. So those are up to date. And then for 2021 and beyond, that is what our anticipated increment and further expenditures are going to be, so that you can see where the course or the trend of those districts are heading. When you see a parentheses down at the bottom part, that means that it is in a deficit balance for the time being. But you can see how quickly that has changed. And so TID number 8, just in a nutshell, is our casino TID. It's located off of Willowbrook Road. And for many years, it was carrying a deficit balance, and that's because we had put infrastructure in that TID district, and there was not enough increment to pay that debt service back, and so it created a deficit balance. And as future development has occurred, just south of the wastewater treatment plant there. You can see how the increment has steadily increased. So a couple of businesses will add value to the district, which then in turn allows us to pay that deficit back to the debt service fund. So we anticipate that TID to close out in the black. So that is great news. And it also helped pay back some debt service that was essentially loaned to that TIF district. So the next one is TID number 9. This is what we refer to as our mall TID. In 2020, it ended the year with also a deficit balance. That's because we had put in some dollars into the district to help clean some things up, which was borrowed essentially from our capital improvement fund. So as, again, a little bit of development occurred there, the increment value has increased, but what has also paid this money back is we did an amendment to TID number 11 and allowed TID number 11 to help pay the excess increment off in this TID. So it was a donor TID is what it's called. And you can see on the line item there, it says other, 950,000, 225,000. Those are actually increment dollars from TID number 11 that came into TID number 9 to help pay off that deficit.
I remember when we voted on that.
Yep, just did it a few years ago. So we were allowed to do that by state statute. Took advantage of the excess increment that was in TID number 11 to do that. And again, in 2021, you see how it ends in the black again, eliminating that deficit balance. And there is no other developer incentives or debt service remaining in that TID either. So here's the big one, TID number 10. This one is generally where most of the development has occurred over the last couple, really over the last decade. And very steady increment in this TID, somewhere around $4.5 to $5 million generally. There's about 771 or 770,000 of of debt service that's remaining here. That is only general obligation debt. We called the outstanding CDA lease revenue bonds just earlier this year, which is why there's $2.5 million of payments there to be made. Saved several $100,000 of interest related to the TIF district. So when we had the excess cash, we wanted to get rid of that debt service, and so we paid that debt off. It also put us into a good position, as you'll see later on in the slide, to possibly be able to close this district early. There is about $786,000 of developer incentives that we have currently under contract that will run out through, generally would run out through 2025 or 4 or 5. With businesses that we have developer agreements with. This one clearly is located in the black. It has for quite some time. There's really no concern over cash flows here in this particular district.
Do these numbers reflect Amazon's?
They do not, because I did not.
I thought that's the other place I was looking for them.
Yep,
Okay.
they do not.
Okay.
So I did not have those readily available, and it takes
Right.
quite a bit actually of analysis and work to get some projected increment values for the cash flow. So I was not able to prepare that for tonight.
Sure. Yeah.
So TID number 11 is a small industrial TID located off Springbrook and Collie Road, right out there by our DPW facilities. A little bit of increment here. There's no debt service left. There's actually 2 years of developer incentive left, which is where the $71,000 comes in. But this has always been a pretty steady cash flowing TIF district. That's why we were able to create this as the donor TID to help kind of help out TID number 9 to get them out of the red. TID number 12 is a single parcel TID, the Frito-Lay TID. This was done directly to help with an expansion project that they had done several years ago. We had a minimum guarantee in the developer incentive that basically said that if you do not create enough increment value with the project that we're borrowing the money for, then you would have to make up the difference so that the city was essentially made whole for our debt service. They were able to do that. The 2020 was the last developer incentive payment that was due there, so that is completely satisfied. And we have the final debt service payment this year, so that's how they're related. Has a nice steady stream of increment there and consistently ends the year in the black. TID number 13 is our Milwaukee Road Corridor TID. There's currently about $500,000 in CDA lease revenue bonds. It's still outstanding. This TID ended 2020 in a deficit balance, which that deficit balance was planned from the very beginning back in 2018. We knew that was going to be the case. Essentially what we did is we loaned ourselves money to do the project. We didn't feel that it was prudent to borrow money and pay interest when we could cash fund it ourselves. And so we knew that it would show a deficit balance for a couple of years until the increment would eventually make up that difference and get us back out of the red. So planning to do that actually saved several thousands of dollars in interest expense. This is a very healthy TID. A lot of businesses go up out on the Milwaukee Road Corridor, which adds to the increment value, and you can see how that's steadily increased from just over 500,000 all the way up to over projected $1 million. Not a lot of expense other than the debt service that is related to the TID. There are no developer incentives here, and so it cash flows very nicely. TID number 14 is our 4th Street Corridor TID. Pretty steady, just little bits of increment value increasing on an annual basis, just slowly accumulating cash there. There's virtually no expense other than some project management costs. There is no debt service and there are no developer incentives in this TIF district.
This is our youngest TID.
Sorry?
This is our youngest TID.
It is, yeah. This is the newest one that we have. I think it's, what I'd say, it's not due to close until 2034.
Yeah.
So it's still quite young. There's really no anticipation of closing this one early. This is a redevelopment TID designed to get some money back into that area to try to develop the.
Still a
the
lot of
area.
work to do.
There's still
Is
some work
this
to do. Yep.
all of 4th Street?
Not all of 4th Street, but a fair amount of 4th
Okay.
Street. I can't remember what the cutoff boundary is. I think it's Portland, maybe? No, just maybe
It's-
north of Portland. Liberty, maybe?
It's St. Lawrence to Liberty.
Liberty? Yeah. Okay.
St. Lawrence to Liberty, yeah.
Thank you.
Good job, Julie. Okay, so this last slide in the presentation is our anticipated long-term TID plan and early closure schedule. And so what this is showing is that over the first couple of columns is showing the dates in which we would like to enter into the termination resolutions. And so what that's telling us then in the second column is that the term year would be listed there, and then the final increment year as well as the final year that the values would be essentially taken away from, like, off the tax roll of the TID and into the general tax base. And then what the anticipated budget year of that closure would be impacting. And so what you'll see here is that the TID number 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all in position to close early. In fact, they're all looking to close within the next 9 months. So you can see that that date of 4/15/2022 is not that far away. And so what that allows us to do is close those TIDs down, get those values back onto the tax rolls, potentially reduce the tax rate, and allow us to open another TIF district.
Right.
And so I think that's the big news, that we've been waiting for quite a while, to be able to help to continue to develop and provide incentives to people that want to come to Beloit. And so it's really significant, this is really significant in the terms of economic development in the city and what it can do for the actual tax base and tax rate within the city. So this is pretty exciting stuff. The other thing that goes along with this is you can see a little note there underneath the TID number 10 that says file the housing resolution and closing resolution. And so what that means is that by statute, we're allowed to extend the life of a TID by 1 year to capture that increment that then we can use for housing. And so there's certain stipulations that go along with that money that we would just, abide by state statutes to allow us to use it. But it gives a lot of flexibility to municipalities to be able to hit one of the biggest issues that we deal with in the city is the housing issue. So it's really exciting to be able to bring that forward, to possibly open that up and have the dollars available in 2022, which originally we thought we would not be able to do until 2023. So being able to get those dollars into the city's hands to be able to help with housing a whole year earlier and still be able to close that district in 2022 has a budget impact on 2023, which again is 1 year earlier than what we had anticipated doing. So all of this is really good news. It's really exciting, for the city. And then just real quickly, TID number 9 and TID number 11 both have an opportunity there that we could file an extension and get those housing dollars. And then when it comes time for TID number 13, we also would be looking at taking advantage of the housing extension for that TID as well, because again, as you saw in the cash flows, it's about $1 million of increment as of today, which potentially could be higher. So we want to capture, anything that we can in order to help with the housing issue. So.
And that goes into housing development?
Yes, and it does not have to be located within the TID that it came from. It can be located anywhere in the city. 75% of it has to be used for affordable housing. 25% can be used for any housing. So there's a lot of flexibility located in the statutes that gives to local governments. And we've seen over the last couple of years statewide, many local governments are finally starting to take advantage of this housing extension. Whereas in the past, I think only a handful had taken advantage of it. So
That is really exciting.
it's great. Yeah, there's a
This-
lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, there may be a new $38 million stadium across there, but this is the best news I've heard in probably 6 years I've been on the council.
Yeah, it's
And
really
serious,
good.
this is amazingly good news, and
Wow.
hopefully it appears in the Beloit Daily News tomorrow on the front page, which is unlikely, but maybe the next day.
So that is all I have for our update, and I'd be certainly happy to take any questions that you might have.
Or any other
Sounds good.
questions?
I'm astonished at what great news this is. I mean, I've been wondering about these TID closures and the lack of being able to open another TID if we needed to, or if something an opportunity arose, we didn't have that ability. And I've been I couldn't wait, it couldn't come soon enough, and I'm really, really happy it's gonna come within the next, well, I'll still be on the council, actually, so
Yeah.
that's really cool. And Eric, you just made it wonderful to look at all those numbers again, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I'm telling you.
Don't know how you do it.
I know.
Any further questions?
Took the words out of your mouth.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Yep.
Damn, good news.
So there are no reports from boards or city officers, so the next item is adjournment.
Moved by Duncan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice President Keys. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Clint, would you like that?